In this MagicView tutorial, we're going to take a look at how we can manage the different pieces of content when we're creating a layout. So you can see I have a blank canvas made, and on my left-hand side I can see a list of all the different pieces of content I have available from my media library. So I have some videos, images, PowerPoint, and a few URLs as well. So to begin, I can just select an image or a different piece of content and drag it onto my canvas. It'll bring it in and create a new layer with that content inside of it. If I select Fit to Layer, my layer will fill my entire space of my canvas. And then if we look over on the right, at the top here I see I have my new layer in my layer list, and then I have underneath I have the properties associated with it. So right now I can see I have 30 seconds of playback. Whenever you're dropping images onto your canvas, they'll have a default 30-second playback, and we can change that, which I'll show you down below. I can change the name of my layer. I can see where the position is, the size of it as well. And I can also add a rotation if I so choose. But more importantly, here we see this box and we see our image that we dragged onto it. This is going to tell me all the different pieces of content that are held within inside this layer. So if I select another image and drop it onto my layer, I can see the list will grow. I can select a video and also drop it in. If I don't want it there, I select it and I can hit delete. If I want to change the order of the playback, I can highlight different pieces of content and move them around with these arrows. I can add in a segment for empty content if I like. And then if we continue going down, you'll notice I have my second image selected. And then I get some more options of what I can do to that particular piece of content. So here I see duration. This is where I can change the length that it will play back on the screen. So maybe I want to make it 5 seconds. I can change the background color within this layer for that specific piece of content. I can change the transparency. Here you see this button that says playback at original aspect ratio. Depending on the size of your content and the size of your layer, if they're not the same proportions, I can select this to make sure that my image won't be distorted. And if we continue down here at the bottom, you can see I can add some transition effects when the piece of content comes onto my screen or when it goes out. So if I select type, there's a list of options you can choose from. Choose the direction, I get a list of options that I can also choose. And then here I can add how long I want my transition effect to take. So that's a quick look at how we're managing there. If I drop my video back on and select it and go down here, I see that it will give me the exact duration of my video. And I can also adjust the volume setting for the playback. So if you have speakers connected to your signage system, you can mute a video if you don't want the sound to play, or you can adjust the volume levels accordingly. Now let's get rid of this layer. Now let's take a look at if we're going to do a PowerPoint. For PowerPoint files, there's a little bit of setup you'll need to do. It's going to drag in this nice little square box. But depending how you've set up your PowerPoint slides, the traditional ratio is 4:3. So I'm going to make this 400 by 300. And I'm going to choose to lock the aspect ratio. So now I can expand my layer with my PowerPoint to fill my screen and know that the entire area inside this layer will be filled by it. Now if we continue going down, I can see it has a duration of 30 seconds. So it's treating it like an image and just giving it a default of 30 seconds. In order for a PowerPoint presentation to be able to play, when you're creating your file in Microsoft PowerPoint, you need to add the transitions to the slides. And you need to make sure you've deselected for it to act on when you click the mouse. So for this PowerPoint that I brought in, I know I have 26 slides and I've set them each to play for 10 seconds. So I'm going to change my playback time to match the duration that it will take. If I left it at 30 seconds, I would only see the first 3 slides, and then it would begin to repeat. So if I want to see the whole presentation, I have to figure out exactly how long the playback is and set it accordingly. And finally, I also have URLs I can drop in. If we go back here and we select on that, you'll see that the default time for a website will be 30 minutes. Again, you can change that. And everything else is pretty much locked, but I can still add transitions to when it's coming in and out. One more thing I'll show you here is if I look back at my media list, I noticed that one of my pieces of content has a red mark on it. If I was to try to drag this in, it's telling me only approved items can be dragged. That means this piece of content has been locked. Either it hasn't been approved for use or it's been retired. So if I go back to my media library and I navigate to where it is, and that was our show time, I notice up here it's been retired. All right, so if I want to use this piece again, I can select approve. I'll go back over here to my layout, and I notice that it's gone. So whenever you see a little red mark, you know that content has either been unapproved, not ready for use, or it's been retired. So you can check back to your media library to see what the status is with that. So that's just a very quick introduction of how we can start using multiple pieces of content within layers when we're creating our layouts.